Welcome back to Channel Name. Today we're diving deep into perfectionism, that drive for flawlessness that many of us know too well. But have you ever wondered if your perfectionism might be holding you back? If you're interested in self-growth, mental well-being, and practical tips like these, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let's help each other reach our fullest potential together. Let's talk perfectionism. It's often celebrated, especially in a world that values high achievers, exceptional standards, and near-flawless results. But there's a catch. Sometimes perfectionism crosses a line and starts affecting our well-being, productivity, and relationships, and you might not even realize it. So today, we're breaking it down. We'll cover some classic signs of perfectionism, traits to look out for, and some powerful ways to manage it for a happier, healthier life. If any of this sounds familiar, stay tuned. Perfectionism can often look like just trying your best, but the reality is, it runs deeper than that. Here are some key signs that you might be dealing with perfectionism. 1. Relentless self-criticism. Do you find yourself criticizing your efforts even when others say you did a great job? Perfectionists often have a harsh inner critic that sets extremely high standards, so high that they're almost impossible to meet. When we hold ourselves to these standards, it's easy to feel like we're never good enough. 2. Fear of making mistakes. Mistakes are a part of life, but for a perfectionist, they can feel like failures. This fear can lead to overthinking and hesitating to try new things. Ironically, this fear of failure sometimes holds us back from progress because we don't want to risk doing something imperfectly. 3. Constantly seeking approval. If you find yourself needing validation for your work or decisions, that can also be a sign of perfectionism. Perfectionists often rely on praise or recognition to feel like they've done well, which can make them feel anxious when approval isn't readily given. 4. Setting unrealistic goals. Setting goals is great, but if your goals are so high that they're unattainable, it may be a sign of perfectionism. Setting the bar this high can lead to exhaustion and frustration when we inevitably fall short. A good goal is challenging but achievable. 5. Procrastination as a defense mechanism. It's interesting, but perfectionism and procrastination often go hand in hand. When we're so focused on getting everything perfect, it can become overwhelming to start a project. This pressure to do everything just right can make us put things off indefinitely. 6. Difficulty delegating tasks. Perfectionists often feel like they're the only ones who can do something correctly. This can lead to overloading yourself with tasks and feeling stressed, as you're less likely to trust others with parts of a project. How perfectionism affects you. Perfectionism can feel like it's motivating you to do your best, but over time, it can actually have the opposite effect. Here are some common ways perfectionism impacts your well-being. 1. Increased anxiety and stress. When your mind is set on achieving perfection, it's common to experience heightened anxiety. You're constantly worried about making mistakes or not meeting your own standards, which leads to stress. High stress levels over time can negatively impact your health and make even small tasks feel overwhelming. 2. Stalled progress and fear of starting. Ever felt paralyzed by the thought of not doing something well enough? Perfectionism can actually cause you to stall out on your projects. If you can't get started unless you're certain it will be perfect, you might end up not starting at all. 3. Relationship strain. Perfectionism doesn't just affect your work life, it seeps into personal relationships too. Holding others to high, sometimes unspoken expectations can create tension. Relationships thrive on compassion and understanding, so constantly striving for perfection in others can make people feel judged. 4. Burnout. One of the harshest outcomes of perfectionism is burnout. Overworking to meet sky-high standards and avoiding breaks can lead to both physical and emotional exhaustion. When your body and mind are running on empty, it's much harder to keep up with even basic tasks, let alone perfect ones. How to manage perfectionism. Perfectionism can be tough to shake, but it's possible. Here are some effective strategies to start letting go of the perfect mindset and embrace a healthier, more realistic approach. 1. Set realistic and achievable goals. One of the simplest ways to manage perfectionism is by creating goals that are achievable. Setting a standard of done is better than perfect can be very freeing. Aim to do your best within reasonable limits and allow room for growth instead of setting an all-or-nothing goal. 2. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Remind yourself that mistakes are natural and essential for growth. Try rephrasing your thoughts around errors. Instead of seeing them as failures, see them as learning moments. When you give yourself permission to make mistakes, you'll feel less pressure to get everything right the first time. 3. Practice self-compassion. The way we talk to ourselves matters. When you notice self-critical thoughts, counter them with self-compassion. Acknowledge your efforts and remind yourself that it's okay not to be perfect. Kindness towards ourselves can reduce the pressure we feel to live up to impossible standards. 4. Break down tasks into smaller steps. Big projects can feel overwhelming for perfectionists, which can lead to procrastination. By breaking tasks into smaller, manageable steps, you'll make it easier to start without feeling like everything needs to be perfect right away. 5. Celebrate small wins. Recognizing small achievements helps reinforce a balanced mindset. When you celebrate progress rather than perfection, you remind yourself that every step counts. Take a moment to appreciate the effort rather than waiting for the end result to celebrate. 6. Set time limits. To avoid spending too much time on perfecting something, set a time limit for each task. Giving yourself boundaries can prevent overthinking and encourage you to finish the task within the set time frame. With practice, this can reduce the desire to perfect everything. 7. Shift your focus to the process, not the outcome. Sometimes focusing too much on the result can lead to perfectionism. Try shifting your attention to the process itself. What can you learn along the way? How can this experience help you grow? When you value the journey over the end result, it can take off a lot of the pressure. 8. Seek support when needed. Sometimes talking to others can be incredibly helpful. Whether it's friends, family, or a mental health professional, getting support can help you see things from a different perspective. They might also give you gentle reminders that perfection isn't necessary. So, are you a perfectionist? If any of these traits sound familiar, it's worth exploring some of these strategies to manage perfectionism and find more balance. Remember, it's okay to strive for excellence, but there's a difference between that and perfection. Excellence allows room for growth, learning, and yes, mistakes. You don't have to do everything perfectly to be valuable or successful. Sometimes good enough really is good enough. So let go of the pressure to be perfect and embrace a life filled with balance, self-compassion, and growth. Thanks for watching.